everyone! Today we will take you with us to the south of Portugal. Visiting the Algarve has been our dream for a very long time, and when it finally came true, we were not disappointed. We managed to see the breathtaking beaches, the famous Benagil Cave, vibrant lagos, the charming town of Carvoeiro, the surfers' town of Sagres, and the Cape of St. Vincent, in the past called the end of Europe or even the end of the world. If you are curious about what to see in the Algarve, stay with us and don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with our travels. We decided to stay in Lagos, which is the most popular and touristy town in the entire Algarve, but we don't really recommend it, and in a moment we will tell you why. We found a really nice Airbnb with a rooftop pool, which turned out to be a great thing because the ocean was freezing cold even in September. The town itself has a brilliant location as it is more or less in the middle of the coast, so if you want to explore other towns or beaches by car, this is a big advantage. Additionally, many of the most beautiful beaches are just around the corner.
In Lagos you must visit the magnificent Ponta da Piedade, which is a group of rock formations along the cliff reaching the height of up to 20 meters. This is one of the most famous tourist attractions in Algarve and we definitely recommend it. The second place you cannot miss in Lagos is the famous beach Praia do Camilo. Although to be honest it didn't impress us that much, especially at low tide when almost the entire beach was covered with black algae. If you have a little more time, you can also explore the entire coastline near Lagos and visit Estudantes beach, Praia de Dona Ana, Praia do Pinhão and many others. We spent almost a week in Lagos and although the town is really nice, it's rather a party destination and we didn't like the gastronomy scene there. We were choosing the best rated restaurants, but the overall experience in every single of them was very mediocre. One meal gave us even a pretty bad food poisoning. But let's move on to more pleasant things, namely the most beautiful beach in the whole Algarve. This is Praia da Marinha, which really impresses not only with its location among rocks and cliffs, but also with its blue calm water. The views are simply phenomenal. The great thing is that beaches in Portugal are well managed, there is always a parking lot and a really well maintained descent with steps. This was also the case here.
The next day we went to Benagil Cave, also one of the top tourist attractions in Algarve. If you were to recommend one thing to do in the Algarve, it would be to visit this phenomenal place. There are different ways to get to Benagil Cave. The most popular one is renting a kayak, stand-up paddle or taking a boat trip from Benagil beach, which is only 100 meters away from the famous cave, so in theory everything seems to be very simple. In reality, however, it is not so straightforward. We were trying to approach Benagil beach 2 times and each time we were stuck in traffic, there were hundreds of people around the beach and there was even no place to park the car. Probably even if you could find a place, there would be no chance to rent anything judging by the crowd and queues in the front of the rental companies. Therefore, we recommend a much better option. You can just go to the town of Carvoeiro, which is located 6 kilometers from the cave. At the beach in Carvoeiro you can get the same boat trip visiting the famous Benagil Cave and several other caves. We booked ours with Carvoeiro Tours and we are really happy with our experience. The itinerary included seeing 6 caves, but we had a chance to see 11 or 12. We managed to do it because there was a low tide, so be sure to check the times of high and low tides before your trip. It is very important because during high tide the water rises by as much as 3 meters, so it is impossible to enter some caves during this time. An hour-long trip cost us 20 euros per person, while renting kayaks from Benagil beach was 25 euros. If you don't mind the cold water, you can also try to swim to Benagil Cave because, as we mentioned earlier, it's not too far away from Benagil beach. At this point we have to mention the beautiful town of Carvoeiro. This place is totally amazing. Carvoeiro is a little bit like the famous Italian Positano, but in a typical Portuguese way. All the buildings are white with red and blue paint and orange rooftops. We regret choosing our accommodation in touristy Lagos instead of Carvoeiro, which has a great gastronomy with plenty of fancy restaurants. In Lagos, unfortunately, there were only touristy places with a very average food.
In Carvoeiro you will find a nice city beach with huge shells that are thrown ashore by the ocean. But the town also offers other attractions, for example the beautiful rock formations, caves and lookout points. You will find them heading up the cliff. After a few minutes you will reach Carvoeiro Broadwalk, which is a long wooden pier stretching along the cliffs. From the boardwalk you can take the stairs to the viewpoint Miradouro de Falesia do Carvoeiro to explore and witness the wonders of nature. Following the Carvoeiro Broadwalk all the way to the end, you will reach the famous attraction which is Algar Seco, another place with beautiful caves and rock formations stretching along the coast. We also visited Burgau, a tiny but very cute little town. It's really picturesque and Instagrammable, so if you happen to be nearby, it's really worth stopping by. There are only a few streets here, so you can see it all in less than 10 minutes. However, if you get hungry, we can recommend visiting the restaurant called Miam, which is located directly next to the beach. While in the Algarve, it's definitely worth visiting the end of Europe, once also called the end of the world, or in other words, Cape St. Vincent. It is the most southwestern part of Europe. There's also a lighthouse, which can be seen from a distance of 60 kilometers.
On your way to the Cape, you will definitely come across the surfer town of Sagres, which definitely didn't impress us. It's hard to call it a town at all because there is no real city center. Everyone rather moves around by car, and it actually reminds us of a town straight from Breaking Bad. If you get hungry, we recommend the restaurant called Three Little Birds, where we had delicious tacos and quesadillas. We were actually nicely surprised with the restaurant choice in Sagres, and there were some really good ones on our list. The town of Sagres is especially popular among German surfers catching big waves on Praia do Tonel, a very windy and cold beach. In general, we can say that Sagres is a town of young people, surfers and fans of van life. On the other side of the cliff you can find Praia da Mareta, a much calmer beach without big waves. It will be perfect for families with children.
Olhao was the biggest surprise of our trip. The town, which is not extremely popular among tourists, surprised us with amazing authentic cuisine, really cool hotels and tons of picturesque streets and corners. It is an absolute must-see for all lovers of Portuguese azulejo styles. The town itself is quite small, so planning 2 or 3 hours here will be enough for a decent sightseeing. We stayed there for a night because our flight arrived late in the evening, so I was looking for a nice accommodation near Faro. Olhao has the best hotels at very reasonable prices and is only a 10-minute drive from Faro. In Olhao we found a really great selection of the most authentic restaurants, so we will link them in the description below. Here we also had a very memorable breakfast at a place called Figo de Pita. It was so delicious. We stayed at the Pure Formosa concept hotel, which we highly recommend. Very clean rooms, cool design and a beautiful rooftop terrace with pool and panoramic view. Although we do not recommend choosing Faro for your accommodation, it's definitely worth spending a few hours there, for example on the day of your flight. Undoubtedly it's a nice town, but Algarve has much more to offer. Especially if you are looking to explore beautiful beaches, Faro won't be a good choice. However, there is one place you absolutely must visit in Faro. It may sound silly, but we had the best Polish pierogi of our lives here. Better than we have ever had in Poland. The place is called Miam. We were a bit hesitant because it's strange to eat Polish food in Portugal, but really you will not regret it. I had duck pierogi and Ada had cheese and potato dumplings. Also make sure to order dessert, because the owner is a professional pastry cook.
We hope you enjoyed our vlog from Portugal, and if so, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel because we are already preparing new vlogs from Sicily and the Canary Islands.